Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Tradesman Experience. This is the podcast built by tradesmen for tradesmen. My name is Josh, and in the virtual studio in the new year is, of course, the talent, Mr. Nate Newton. Nate, how are you, sir?
Oh, fucking busier than a one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest.
What's the weather like out there?
Dude, fucking poor cat, man. She moved over here from San Francisco. She was all excited to have her first winter in the snow. It's been like 50 fucking degrees there. It's motorcycle weather right now.
Ugh.
Dude, no snow, but I guess there's some big fucking high front sitting off the coast that's keeping all the storms on the East Coast. The East Coast is getting fucking pummeled right now. But yeah, we don't have dick going on. So
well, 50s out there is hard to beat.
Oh, dude, it's beautiful, honestly. Yeah,
hard to beat.
The fucking battery in my bike took a shit, so I gotta go grab a new one. If it wasn't for that, I'd be out riding pretty much every other day.
What is bike's about what, 3 years old now?
That's a 21. So okay. Yeah, it's 4 years old now.
Yeah. So yeah, time for a battery.
Yeah, right. Especially, dude, those Indians are notorious for the Challengers. It's a fucking computer with a motor strapped to it. So, but yeah, they've had all sorts of electrical issues. So I keep it on a battery tender every time I park it, and yeah, it was time. So it just sucks because I went to go jump on my bike to go to a meeting with football guys, not work related. And I was all excited because it was like 55 degrees and I was going to take the windy way over there and and I'm like, fuck.
There go my hopes and dreams.
You got to take my stupid Jeep.
We got 12 inches of snow over the weekend.
I'll give you 12 inches. It'll take me a couple tries.
I was like, let me clear my schedule. New agenda. This is going to take a while. God. But the Midwest is known for dark gray depressive winters.
So. Nice. Yeah. And that's I saw your post this morning. You're walking around out in the snow with your bald ass head exposed. And,
yeah. It's snowing on the ice, thankfully.
Oh, so. Good. Yeah, that makes it more safe. Yeah.
Every oh man, don't get me started on the drivers, but as those of you out there call everybody around here Flatlanders, they're terrible.
They're all Flatlanders. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I don't understand how people live in like Wisconsin or Minnesota or fucking Chicago or something. They have 2-wheel drive vehicles. But I mean, I guess there's no hills or mountains or anything, so I guess you can get by in 2-wheel drive, but it still seems ridiculous to me to live somewhere that snows and not have 4-wheel drive.
I agree.
Yeah.
No argument there.
Yeah.
Case closed.
The problem around here is we get these fucking, these people that they're super wealthy. They come up out of, the Bay Area or something. They're Flatlanders. And they come up here, they buy a fucking 10,000 pound Suburban or Escalade that's 4-wheel drive with street tires on it. And they think that because it's 4-wheel drive, they can do 45 in the snow. And it's like, are you fucking retarded? Yeah. I mean, yes, they are. They're fucking stupid. They just don't know any better. They're ignorant. Right. But that's a shitty place to be ignorant. Cause if you're doing 45 in the snow and you come up on some traffic, somebody might die,
Yeah. And most people don't know how to brake in the snow.
Yeah. You don't just stand on your fucking brakes, No. I don't care if you have ABS or not. Like you got to turn through that shit, find an avenue out. Like you can only stop as early as you can stop,
So yeah, there's a lot of that. There's a town, a pretty popular town from here called Chesterfield. And over the weekend, they had over 200 cars that were stuck.
Jesus.
Like,
goddamn.
It's pretty impressive.
Isn't that where Andy Frisella lives?
I think around that area.
Okay. Yeah. I was just watching some videos this morning. There's those fires going on down there in LA. And of course, everybody waited till the last fucking minute to evacuate. They're all trying to evacuate at the same time as the fire's marching over the hill, gridlocked. So everybody abandons their fucking vehicles, and that's a hoity-toity neighborhood, the Palisades. And there's a bulldozer going through there, just scooping up Audis and Mercedes and Beamers and just dropping them in the ditch like it's a fucking Toyota Hilux,
Yeah, that big red fire dozer.
Yeah. It's like, dude, your money only fucking matters until the fire comes to your fucking door, and then it's like,
yeah,
sucks, nerd.
Yeah, the fire cleansing all the sinners in LA.
Yeah. But I mean, dude, because I got a lot of friends that are firefighters, and they're especially the Wildman guys. They're like, they've been saying it for a fucking decade. They're like, LA is fucked. We're gonna catch the right fire with the right winds. Those Santa Anas come in, dude, and you got 90-mile-an-hour fucking flame tornadoes ripping through there. And like the shitty part is that these insurance companies found out, or they did launch their own investigations onto the area. They're like, the fire hazard's way too high, and the state of California will not allow us to increase our premiums to cover your homes. So we're going to drop your policies. They dropped like last month, I think State Farm or one of them dropped like 1,400 fire policies on these fucking homes. So these people are just up in smoke. There's no compensation for it. That's fucking wild, dude. That fucking dipshit that runs that fucking state, dude. And then, it's just severe mismanagement left and right. The fire departments have all been telling them, hey, we have a serious fucking problem here. And they'd rather dump money into fucking DEI and fucking homeless shit and all that kind of stuff, which DEI's done nothing for them. The homeless issue has only gotten worse. So it's like, well, this is what you get. This is what you guys fucking voted for. I don't know what to tell you.
I heard that heard that our brothers up in Canada, Trudeau resigned.
Yeah, that fucking, it makes me wonder why. Like, I think that his approval ratings are honestly that fucking low. But I mean, Trudeau is the fucking Newsom of Canada.
That's what made me, when you talked about Newsom, it made me think of Trudeau immediately.
Yeah, but Newsom's not going anywhere, dude. He is bred to be a fucking politician. That's Nancy Pelosi's nephew. He was brought up to be a part of this fucking system. And he's just, dude, he looks like your typical fucking scumbag politician. Like, I guess that's what people like about him. They're like, we know you're going to fuck us, but at least you're attractive, like,
and you're going to smile doing it.
You're going to smile. We're just going to fall right into it. Yeah. So you say all the right words and then do whatever the fuck you want. That's what politics is these days, So fuck him. I don't know. I don't live there.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Just stay the fuck out of Nevada if you decide you're going to leave California.
California democracy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Interesting place. But as tradition would have it, you and I always do a recap of the previous year.
Woof.
Yeah, right. I started like thinking about this. I'm like, I'm pretty sure we lived like 5 years in the last year.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
With everything that's went on. Also, as I was looking back though, we had like Ray and Tony Van Winkle on the podcast.
Was that this year?
24. Yeah.
Oh,
we had Joel Potter, Bourbon and Ballistics on the podcast. Yep.
Oh,
we had,
come to find out, he lives right around the corner from me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I drove past him the other day. I was like, you fucking live out here in Johnson Lane? He's like, yeah. I was like, oh shit.
Awesome.
Yeah.
When I'm out there, I'd like to sit down and do a podcast with him.
Joel.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe get on his show.
Yeah.
We can sit down and just have a taste of bourbon and talk bullshit and share beard secrets. And the guy's beard is
it's a majestic beard. It's like
yes,
Zach's.
it is.
Like Zach and him have very majestic. I have a big beard. I don't have a majestic beard.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't know what I've got, but
face pubis.
it covers my skinny chin. What can I say?
That glass jaw of yours is really concealed. That's how before you get knocked out, nobody can find your chin in there.
Just how my Adam's apple. Don't chip that off. It's pointy and small. But no, man, last year was I don't know. It was kind of crazy, like just 2024 in general. And of course I moved. I moved from the mountainous regions of Nevada to the asphalt lands of St. Louis,
Midwest, like a dork. That must be one great piece of ass to drag all the way over there.
And I was having this conversation with Greg, and I told him, I said, I was born in Illinois. My home is Nevada, and my heart is in St. Louis. So here I am. But that moving, I was, thinking about that move for me last year. was definitely the right decision.
I agree.
100% the right decision.
I agree.
Um,
You have a
and,
lot more opportunity with what you do
mhm.
where you're at now.
And my opportunity with Katie, right?
Yeah.
And she's advancing in her career. There's more opportunity showing up for her here because of her dedication to her career. And it put me back in proximity. You know, of people I get to see, the other brother, I get to see TJ and the kids. You know, Heath, Kellen, like, so I get to visit with those guys every once in a while now. So there is a lot of good that's come from it. Literally the only bad is I don't have the view and I have too much humidity. But
Yeah.
but it was kind of interesting. I was talking to Heath, and I had lunch one day, and he said, "Do you remember when you moved out there? You said you'd be back in like 5 years." And of course, I don't remember saying that because I had no intention of coming back. But I'm like, "Oh, be careful what you put out into the universe,"
Right.
you know, because it was
Yeah.
a 5-year run. And
Oh, no shit.
yeah, and I
Is it
came
that
back. I'm
long?
like,
God damn.
it was, yeah, October of 18 to July of 24.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it is weird to kind of sit back and reflect on it right now because, like, the last 2 years of my life have been a wild, to say the least. But I think that this is the most depressed, anxious, and like, I don't know. I lost a lot of hope on a lot of things for a long time over the last 2 years. And it was all me. It was my perspective. It was the way that I was approaching the situations that I was dealing with. And I'll tell you right now, I didn't handle them right. I went fucking full blood alcoholic. I was drinking every fucking night. Just not being the person that I preach you should be on here. And that made me a fraud. It really did. And luckily over the last couple months, I've pulled my head out of my ass, but, yeah, I got divorced. I fucking, there was a lot of changes in the business. We had bad projects. We had, just all sorts of shit happened. And, now that the dust has kind of settled on all of it, now I get to be introspective about the whole thing. We're not out of the woodworks yet, but I'm a lot happier now. I'm a lot more motivated. I'm a lot more dialed. I'm a lot more goal oriented at the moment than I was when all this shit went down. And a lot of it's my fault. I put myself in some of these positions, and some of it's not my fault. And I've come to realize it doesn't fucking matter. Whether it's my fault or not, I still got to fucking deal with it. And I think it's harder for me to deal with the shit that is my fault. I fucked up a lot in a couple of different realms of life, and I beat myself up a lot for it, and I devalued myself over those mistakes. And it is, being as arrogant as I can be. That was a big shot to the ego, and it was a big shot to. I realized that there was a part of myself that needed to die over the last year. There was a part of myself that needed to die. There was a part of whoever the, arrogant pipeliner, fucking big swinging dick, ego driven part of Nate was that needed to fucking die. And so I'm walking into 2025 with a different lens. I'm looking at things a lot differently, and I'm looking at myself a lot differently. Like I think the last 2 years has given me the ability to give myself grace, which I've never had before. Everything's always been my responsibility. Everything's always been on my shoulders. And if I fuck up, it is detrimental. But I let other people slide with a lot of shit when they fuck up. And I don't know why I can't give myself that same grace, but I've been reading The 12 Rules of Life by Jordan Peterson. And chapter 2 is treat yourself like somebody you're responsible for. And he kind of breaks it down like, if your dog is sick, like you are going to go above and beyond to make sure that the medication's administered on time, that the dog's not overexerting itself, that they're getting plenty of rest. Like you will do all of that for your dog. but you will not do that for yourself.
Mhm.
And it's because there's a self-worth aspect that comes into it. And when you fuck up, it's really hard to maintain your sense of self-worth. And it's been a real fucking eye-opener this year, you know.
I think of to speak on that a little bit. First of all, I just want you to know, like, when we fuck up that bad and we learn from it, that gives us permission to speak on the topic. I don't like listening to people tell me about things that they've never fucking experienced. So
Right.
I'm just telling you, it's like we can have these conversations because and we can speak on these topics because of experience. But to speak on what you're talking about there, the ego of man, right? Like being men, like us being high performing men, and and speaking to the men, not to leave the badass women out, but speaking to the men, there's a certain breed of us that are just ingrained to have that self-sacrificing nature at whatever cost for the betterment and survival and I can't think of the word, but
perpetuation.
Perpetuation and success of others. And now the reason I say ego, because it is ego. And we're bred with that. That's part of our DNA. It's part of our indoctrination. I was having this conversation yesterday, and we were just talking about like how our upbringing affects our current behavior. So how much impact our past has on our current state. And I was sharing in the conversation, I said, I'm 100% aware that my upbringing, my indoctrination is why has a lot to do with my stoicism. Has a lot to do with my lack of reaction. Because we weren't allowed to show that. No pain, no emotion, no weakness. And as we were talking about that conversation, because to turn it to a kind of a funny note, people often bring up to me that my face is hard to talk to. So
old boulder head over here. Yeah.
I mean, I'm paraphrasing. They put it in a lot nicer way.
Dude, that is fucking great, because that is very true.
Very true.
I mean, I talk to you all the time about a bunch of shit.
Of course,
we have a little bit, but I could totally see that.
Yeah. So, so to bring this up, full circle to the point, it's like when you allow your ego to die, and bring life back into it in a positive state, because I do think that ego plus humility equals confidence, and it's that humility factor.
Yeah, and you have to have a certain level of ego to start a company ground up and fucking make something of it. You have to be kind of absorbed with yourself. You have to, because that's going to give you the unwavering naivety to fucking push forward, and like no matter what, I will fucking make it. And you have to be a certain level of arrogant in order to fucking do that. And once you do start gaining a certain point of success, that's when your humility has to come in. And there's a death of every man in every great business. And it has to fucking happen, dude. You have to. The shit that got you here will not get you there, And dude, I got 13 employees right now. Like that's a lot of shit, and I have to remove my own fucking stupid shit from this in order to give them the best possible means of success. And that it was dude, it really was just a wild fucking year and I fought it, dude. I fought it tooth and nail, and it put me in a really bad place, and a lot of people distanced themselves from me, and I'm okay with that. Like they had full right to distance themselves from me. Will I go back to it? Probably not. If I was in a bad, dark place and you didn't have a conversation with me, and you'd rather just distance yourself from me, I understand. But stay over there. I'll figure it out. I always do. you know. I think that's kind of that's the unfortunate mantra when you get to a certain point. It's like people know you'll figure it out. It's just a matter of how and when.
Yeah,
And
but there's dichotomy to some of that too, right? Because on one side, no one's coming. It's up to you.
Yeah.
It's up to you, right? No one is coming. On the other side of that is you can't do it all alone.
Right.
Right. So again, there's this dichotomy, but I think part of that is watershedding the bullshit. And that might be people, that might be habits, that might be alcohol, it might be whatever the case is. Like you have to watershed those things, and those you have to do alone, because then you get to discover the people that you need in in your life and in your corner to help you achieve those things. So it's I think people get too attached to one or the other of that, because you hear different philosophies and teachers and examples and people like me preaching leadership. No one is coming. It is up to you, but you also have to understand that there's parts of this journey that you have to take alone, but you don't want the finish line to be that part. You don't want to cross the finish line alone. It's a terrible place to be. And you're like, what happened? Like, I have no one to celebrate with. I have no one to share this with. I'm here. I made it.
Right.
But I'm all by my fucking self.
Yeah. Dude. And I mean, I guess now's a better, just about as good a time as any. Matt and I went out to lunch back in June. We were walking back to the truck, and he's like, "Hey man, let's keep walking." And I was like, "Okay, well, that's kind of weird." So we went, fucking just kind of cruised around, and he broke the news to me that he wanted to move on to something else. And 25 years in this industry, he's poured his heart and soul into it. I've pipelined with him. He was a whole tech in the Navy, running this business and everything, and he was just ready for something new. So we're currently working through the buyout. I'm about to be the sole owner of Battleborn Welding. And what you just said right there was that hit the nail on the head for me right there. I guess he didn't abandon me, but I felt abandoned. And that's not what happened at all. Right. That's just, after getting divorced and my partner doesn't want to be a part of the business anymore. Those were those were the biggest relationships I've ever had in life. And I think that I felt so alone at that point, and I've always had a lot of friends, and I've had people around, and people were distancing themselves from me. And it just, I didn't understand, there's people that distanced themselves from me from shit that was going on between me and somebody else. And I'm just like, what the fuck is going on here? But that kind of drove me into this fucking dark place. Right. And whatever, I'm coming out on the other side, things are on the up and up. Matt hasn't been in here with us we're still dealing with the deal, but Matt's out doing training on his new career, the stuff that he wants to pursue now. And so like, Becca's in here as my executive assistant. And like, as much as I know that I have support, Zach has stepped up hard in the superintendent position. Becca's fucking crushing it as the executive assistant, but I still felt like a fucking island because now it's all on me. Not only is nobody coming, but the people that were here, the person that was here isn't here anymore, And so like trying to pull myself up on my bootstraps, and there was a fucking moment of clarity where it was like, yeah, nobody's fucking coming, dude. You got 13 people that fucking depend on you now, so you better fucking get with it and go do your goddamn job. And I guess it's only once our backs against the wall like that, it wasn't rock bottom or anything, but my back was against, it still is kind of against the wall. But that's the beautiful part about your back being against the wall. There's only one fucking way to go. And I'll fucking fight my way out. I always do. I don't give up on shit. I just don't have it in me to do that. It's got to burn to the fucking ground before I can walk away. And so, I mean, that's not necessarily how I wanted to present that news, but it's a huge part of 2024 for me. Like that
Mhm.
is a monumental change in the way things are going. And I'm up to the challenge. I'm excited to run this thing on my own.
Mhm.
It gives some opportunity to other people within the organization to level up because I mean, like I said, there's 13 people. I can't do this all by myself.
Mhm.
So, but I mean, I'm super fucking proud of Zach. I'm super proud of Becca, super proud of John and Danny. And, my leadership is stepping up to the plate. And they're like, because I told them, I'm like, look, here's what's going to happen. Matt's decided he wants to go do something else. So I'm going to have to lean on you guys. And they were all like, yeah, all right, what do you need? So I think it was this shift is such a fucking it's so part of the course for our culture here,
Mhm.
and like everybody's like, fuck yeah, let's go. What are we doing? You point, we shoot. It's like, fuck, dude. It makes me feel like I'm doing, like myself and Matt have done a fucking great job in setting standards and providing a culture, and they continue the culture for us. And we thank Matt for everything he did in building this company up the way it is. And I completely understand wanting to move on to something else. I mean, fuck, I talked about that on the Welding Business Owners podcast. Like, this isn't forever.
Mhm.
He just beat me to the chase. So
It's when you get to a point when you make a career change, and my career shift happened back in 2018 when I left the HVAC company.
Mhm.
Uh, it's it's interesting because you have to change your identity, right? And it's not the career path isn't as difficult as the identity change. Um, now the good thing is when you walk away from it, it's I want to say it's easier to stay away from it. But when you grow a company and you grow a business and you grow a team and you grow as a person, your identity changes. To me, I think that's a lot harder. So my point to this ramble is that, you know, you went through an identity crisis, if you will, because this massively changed the role that you have in the business. And it's like, okay, well, who is it that I need to be to make this successful?
Mhm.
Not who am I? Not
Mhm.
It's like, who do I need to be? And that has to become your new identity. And one of my favorite quotes is, the new version of you is going to cost you the old version of you.
That's exactly where I'm at right now. Yeah.
And, back to watershedding all of that bullshit out of your life, detoxifying your life.
Mhm.
It's like, okay, you deserve this though. And that's really the point that I want to make, is when people want to make a change and make an improvement and make a move, you have to give yourself permission to accept the fact that you deserve it. You really do.
Mhm.
You deserve the opportunity to be great.
Yeah. And when you're a high performer, that's hard to do.
Absolutely.
Like when you've always been able to get shit done and at an astonishing level, it's hard to put, some things just come easy and then you feel like you don't deserve shit, and even when things were hard, you probably didn't do it at 100% perfection. So then you don't feel like you deserve it, and I still fucking struggle with that all
Mhm.
the time,
Yeah. When Matt was out in the Midwest, hunting, Becca, traveled out. So Katie and I had lunch with Matt and Becca, and at lunch, of course, we're catching up, and Matt's like, he's like, hey, dude, he's like, because I've put on weight like for one of the first times in my life, right?
Yeah, they said you're over 200 pounds. I'm like,
Yeah.
what? Look at my
So,
little Joshy Poo all grown up.
so I'm almost a man. I'm a real boy. And he was like, dude, he's like, what? He's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I've made several huge, significant decisions in my life. All of them have to do with elimination. I said, I've basically eliminated alcohol.
Mhm.
I might have a drink once a month. No shit.
Mhm.
I said, I've cut out processed carbs because I love cereal. I'm a 6'2" toddler, dude. I could
Yeah.
eat a bowl of Cinnamon Toast Crunch in one setting. Like,
Yeah.
it's disgusting. I said, I got rid of the complex carbs. I said, I give up energy drinks, and I stopped drinking milk. Now, for those of you that don't understand the significance of that,
Yeah. The Hewitt family is there's generations fueled by milk.
I mean, I would drink almost 2 gallons of whole milk a week.
Damn.
So
It still didn't put any fucking weight on.
no, it was just making me fucking fat and bloated. So, and you know, so we talked about the alcohol thing, and it's interesting when you go through a phase in life, because I went through the same phase. Like I literally drank every day. We talked about it before. I ended up getting a DUI. And like I got to experience all of the great things that come along with sitting in jail and going to court and all the fun stuff. Basically losing your ability to be a person. And when you have those conversations, a term that gets thrown around is recovering alcoholic. And that term got brought up in the conversation. And I said, listen, I said, I'm not using that word. And Matt was like, why? And I said, because that is labeling me. It's attaching me to the person I used to be. Right. I said, recovering alcoholic has nothing to do with my current state or my identity. I said, so I'm not going to attach myself to it.
Right.
So I'm not going to hang on to this label of self-preservation or whatever you want to call it, of like, well, I used to be an alcoholic, or I am a recovering alcoholic. It's like, I don't fucking care about that. And here's how I want to drive my point. I want to drive this fucking point home for people, because it's a mindset shift. Is Nate, you played football in high school, right?
Yep.
Are you still a football? Are you consider yourself a football player?
I'm coach.
Are you a recovering footballer?
Yeah. Nope.
I mean,
did recover. Yeah.
So that's my point. And the point about that is, it's interesting how we will attach lifelong labels and narratives to the negatives of our life. But you were a footballer. You played sports in schools. There's people that played sports in college. There's people that play. But when you get done with that, I mean, some people do, right? They're like, they sit at the bar and talk about the shit they used to do. I'm not talking to those fucking people.
But hold on. That's the same thing about alcoholics. That's what AA meetings are. Yeah.
Right. And so it's like, okay, so you're not an athlete anymore. You're not a football player anymore. You don't identify as a football player anymore. Why the fuck would I identify as somebody that used to drink every day?
Well,
I'm not interested.
Yeah. And that's the problem with like these AA programs. It's that your entire identity revolves around being an alcoholic. There's nothing else to you. I mean, most of these people are trading out one addiction for another. They're going to 8 fucking meetings a day. Didn't I get it? People need some sort of community, something like that. And I'm not bashing completely on AA and stuff like that. But dude, if you've been sober for 5 years and you still need fucking 5 meetings a week to stay sober, you are completely captured by that identity. And you're not getting to the root of why you're fucking drinking. You know, and if you think that if you miss a meeting, you're just going to turn into a rampant alcoholic, you haven't corrected the problem. All you're doing is using a Band-Aid solution of, dude, and my mom was a fucking drug addict. And so we would go to fucking NA and AA meetings with her. And it's such a depressing fucking place. Like, everybody's just in there with their fucking sob stories about the stupid shit that they did and the things they lost. And it's like, why is that your focus for fucking 5 goddamn meetings every week? Is how fucked up you all are. Like, what? You guys aren't spending any time during these meetings, like figuring out the future. You're not talking about what you're doing to fucking become greater, better people. You're all in here fucking just using this as like some Catholic confession.
Yeah. And I think, regardless of if it's alcohol, drugs, business, addiction, whatever, the more you pour yourself into the past, the more you steal from your future. And that was kind of my whole realization, if you will. And it's funny for me, because if the Josh of 2022 were to walk in, I wouldn't even recognize him. I was 20 pounds lighter. I drank all the time. I lived alone. I stayed alone. I was alone all the time. And it's like, I wouldn't even recognize that poor son of a bitch, but I'm so thankful that I had that experience and that time in my life, because it built me into the person that I am today, and more importantly, it's the person that I'm going to be,
Mhm.
the person that Katie deserves, the person that I deserve. If I'm going to build a $100 million empire, I have to be $100 million leader,
Mhm.
and that's my focus, is moving forward. Um, and not just out of like embarrassment, not talking about the past. I don't like talking about the past because I don't need that in the front of mind.
Mhm.
Like to me, it doesn't fuel me to move forward. Um, can I stop and reflect and go, shit, this is how far I've came? I'm
Mhm.
okay with reflection points
And
for
that's the whole
me.
point of this episode, right?
Right, is right, is like reflection and recap
Mhm.
and what happened in 2024. And you know and I think the other thing is to not downplay the significance of certain events. Matt leaving Battleborn Welding is a big deal,
Mhm.
right? It's a very, very big deal.
Yeah.
Because it reshapes, impacts, and influences the entire brand, operation, and culture of the company. Now, obviously, everybody's doing what they can, and we've had a lot of conversations to continue that moving forward. But I think it's important. Here's the reason I say that, Nate, is because when I went through my business breakup,
Mhm. It's
um,
it's like another divorce, dude.
right,
Really.
I did downplay it,
Mhm.
and I didn't have conversations about it, and I didn't discuss it, and it put me in this state of depression. And then I couldn't find my calling, and I tried all of this shit and blah blah blah. And the reality was, I just need to accept it, talk about it to people that I love and trust, and be like, okay, what I need to accept the fact that it hurts. I need to go ahead and experience the pain,
Mhm.
and then go, okay, what do I need to do moving forward?
Dude. So as I
Listen to us
started,
giving therapy advice or some
yeah,
shit today. I don't know, but
as I started taking over the business, this was something that it fucking wrecked me. Um, but as I started telling people like, hey, I'm going to be the sole owner of Battleborn Welding, and like I'm panicking on the inside, right? And like, fuck, I remember Kyle Eldridge, we were out golfing, and I was like, yeah, Matt's going to pursue something else. I'm going to be the sole owner. He's like, well, if there's anybody that can handle it, it's you. And that fucked me up so bad because like all these, like, he wasn't the only person to tell me that, there's multiple other people that are like, well, you're the one that's, you got the mindset to fucking handle it. I was so fucking terrified. And so I didn't have that confidence in myself. I didn't have that level of fucking, you know, respect for myself. And then this is all anybody ever told me was like, well, you're the one that can do it. And that, dude, it fucking ruined me. It fucking wrecked me. And because I couldn't get out of my own fucking way,
yeah,
and it was such a, looking back on it, I'm like, dude, what a little bitch move, like all these people had confidence in you.
Mhm.
And I would rather sit back and go, fuck, I'm not going to make it. Fuck, this isn't going to work. Like, but how do I escape that? Like,
yeah. It's, man, I mean, I don't think it's about escaping it as much as it is recognizing it, because um when you feel like an imposter, you'll self-sabotage.
that's what I was doing.
uh and again, speaking from experience here, I never want people to think that I'm preaching from the pulpit of perfection. But when you don't have that when you don't have that confidence in yourself and that self-worth, you will self-sabotage, and that narrative changes, and you feel like an imposter. And I think you just have to go through it. I don't think that there's any other thing to do, is just be resilient enough to understand that you're just going to have to get through it. People are going to upset you. People are going to piss you off. People are going to tell you things that you want to hear and you don't want to hear. You're going to damage relationships. You're going to damage yourself. I don't think there's a prevention method to that.
I think it's part of the school of hard knocks that you have to go through with this shit. Dude, like the last 2 years has given me such perspective that I look back on the things that used to concern me and things I used to be worried about prior to that. And I'm like, fucking child's play. Like, dude, there isn't much that can phase me right now. Like I've been through a lot in 2 years, and I'm grateful for the challenge. And I'm also grateful that I didn't handle it appropriately. Like I got to see what it looks like firsthand when you don't do it right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and whether that's necessary for the journey or not, I don't know. I can't tell you because I did it the wrong way. So,
Right. Well,
uh,
I think, from my side of the things, it's like, in all of the conversations that we had, like, I never, I never wanted to attack you for how you were behaving,
mhm,
because that doesn't help.
mhm,
Because it doesn't matter. Once you attack somebody, they become defensive, and then you become ostracized. Right? It's like, it's the ability to have conversations after the fact, like we're doing today, like we did before
mhm,
we started recording, of like things that were said or done. And it's like, I think there has to be a level of grace and understanding and patience with people that are experiencing this, as opposed to just like, get up, rub some fucking dirt on it, and let's go.
mhm,
Okay, well, you're looking down, right? You're
mhm,
looking from the top down, and that's encouraging advice. It's like, hooray. But I think it's important to understand that when you're experiencing that shit, it's like, again, nobody's coming to save you, but you can't do it alone. It's like, it's that
mhm.
stupid fucking dichotomy of
Right.
who you need to have around you.
Mhm. And I mean, the quality of people I spend time with now is completely different,
Mhm,
and I can honestly, I mean, Matt lives all the way out in Smith Valley, so I don't really see him that often. And he's like in Carson or something, so it's completely different route to get to work and all that. Uh, I don't really have friends right now.
mhm,
Like I hang out with fucking Kyle Eldridge. We go golfing. I go golfing with Carl Jarbo every once in a
mhm.
while, but I'll talk to people every once in a while. I don't hang out with anybody. I I'm at home. It's just me and Cat most of the time. So and that like I'm actually kind of grateful for not having my weekends filled up with doing the same fucking shit every fucking weekend. There's always some backyard barbecue or hanging out in a garage
Mhm.
drinking or whatever the fuck it is. Like I feel like my time is more mine now than it has been for the last 10 years. I feel like I have ownership of my time. And that's it. That's great. I fucking love that. I do. Does it get boring sometimes? Sure.
Mhm.
Started doing Legos. Like that's
It's interesting. I've been having that. I've been just trying to decide between puzzles and Legos. Like, I
yeah.
feel like I need some kind of um, hand to eye to brain to.
Yeah. So what I did is I went through my gun safe and I hadn't cleaned my guns. Fucking God knows. I take because I got out of I used to shoot competitively
Mhm.
and now I don't do any of that shit anymore. So like my guns have been neglected. Like I'll take them out when somebody comes into town, and be like, oh, Nevada, we can shoot whatever. Let's go take all your
Right.
cool shit. And then all my weapons are fucking malfunctioning right now. Fucking, they're not ejecting. So I grabbed all my guns, brought them inside, cleaned every last one of them, deep scrub, and I realized how fucking calm I felt
Mhm.
while I was doing that. And I don't want to just sit there and re-clean the same guns over and over again. And ammo is expensive, so I'm not getting them
Mhm.
dirty. So I was like, fuck, like this was therapeutic, you know? So I went and got like a small thing. A cat got me one. We were at a cabin up in Arnold, like popped into this little toy store to see what kind of weird shit they had. And there was like this tiny little, it was like a compactor roller for like asphalt. There's a little Lego set of that.
Mhm.
Took me about an hour to put it together, dude. And I was like, everything got real quiet. Like I just had this little thing to fucking stimulate me and zone in on. And now I'm building like fucking 1,000-piece Lego sets and shit.
Yeah.
Just, because Cat travels all the time. So in
Mhm.
the evenings, I get home, feed the dog, do dinner. And then what am I going to do? Sit in front of the fucking TV?
Right.
I read, but now it's like, okay, well, that's something it helps me collect my thoughts. It's like,
Mhm.
it's almost meditative.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's why I've had an interest in it. Um, uh, Looking at the Legos or the puzzles or kind of thing. I think it is therapeutic.
Right. Well, and I don't get to build anything anymore because,
Right.
because I'm the boss. So it's like, at least I get to build something now.
Oh, what
I
did
wish our engineering plans were as cut and drive as fucking Lego
right?
assembly sets. That'd be so much easier.
Well, and that's the thing about Lego, right? Is they're so specific in what they do. Like, you don't have leftover pieces, if I remember right.
Well, they have like spare pieces in there now of like the ones that are really easy to lose.
Okay.
But I've put together probably 30 Lego sets so far. Never had a missing piece, never
Mhm.
had a missing
Right.
sticker, and all of the pieces are perfect. None
Mhm.
of them are deformed. None of them have a burr or a little piece of plastic or, like injection molding overhang. All of the pieces are completely perfect and every part is in there. I'm like, dude, if you want to figure out how to manufacture shit, you need to go talk to Lego. Cause if, dude, their QC process must be through the fucking roof. Their assembly must be through the fucking roof. Like, I don't know how they do it, but they're crushing it.
Yeah, and that was the point I wanted to bring up. So you recognize it as well.
Yeah. Okay.
No, but it is. It's just about being. I mean, they operate on that level of excellence.
Yeah,
as a company for their product.
Well, dude, because you can't buy Legos on Amazon.
You can't.
They have some knockoff brand on there, but there are no Legos on Amazon.
Interesting.
But because I think that they have their own distribution lines, and I'm sure they have contracts with like Walmart and shit like that. You go to Walmart, there's Legos everywhere. But yeah, it's not. Dude, when you're as good as Lego is, you get to fucking pick and choose where you fucking sell your shit.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool. Conversation shift. What did you think about mental masturbation?
That was fucking great. I was fucking cracking up at half of it. I'm just like, yeah.
I got quite a bit of feedback on that. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, because but we're all fucking guilty of it, and like the whole, you brought up the dream casting aspect of it, which I've never really been big on that until you brought up the lotto, because I play the lottery every once in a while. If it gets up there, you can't win if you don't play. But and my ex-wife, she actually brought this up to me one time. She was like, yeah, there was a study that was put out that like playing the lottery is actually good for your mental health, because it kind of gets you to think, like, if you had the money, what would you do with it? And it kind of gets you to put things into perspective of what's actually important to you. If you weren't worried about chasing the fucking money and you had all that at your disposal, what would you really do with your life? And I thought that was a really good point. And because I do that anytime I buy my lottery tickets, I get in the truck and I start thinking about it. Like, what would I do if I had fucking $100 million in the bank, And it does put shit in perspective. And I have come to realize that all the things that I would do with that money would be in the service of other people. Like, my big thing is that I would want to start a welding school for veterans, especially guys that have combat, guys that have PTSD, get them into loud, noisy environments, bring in guys like Jocko to do motivational speeches, bring in psychologists, give them actual treatment, but make it a real nonprofit to where, like, we can use their GI Bill for their tuition, but that's funding a lot more than just the school. It's funding mental health. It's funding fucking physical health, financial training, and give these guys that sacrificed everything, give them a fucking leg up. And like, that's what I would want to do with the money. And I think that, and dude, especially if we did it like an immersive camp where, we've got barracks, the guys come in, they fucking spend 6 weeks with us. We house them, feed them, give them all the care they fucking need, adjust them to civilian life. And then fucking, we'd probably have, dude, if somebody offered that right now and I needed to hire people, I would be calling that place first, and that's, that, and then we're serving two markets. We're serving the veterans, but then we're serving the fucking welding companies that can't find anybody. Well, here's all these guys that just got top-notch training, and make it affordable, make it fucking worth everybody's while. And not like, dude, I hate these other fucking welding programs. Like, I feel like they're stealing from these kids half the time. I'm not trying to take away from their business, but most of these kids need to go out and just go to fucking work. They need to go out, get in the field, be a fucking apprentice, go get paid to learn, dude. But I guess that's a little counterintuitive to what I'm saying here, but
it's all right. Different structure, but no, I brought that topic up because I'd been hearing it. And I just kind of wanted to share the things that I've been guilty of and how easy it is to get wrapped up in that and then not do anything. Right. Like not put in the effort, not put in the work. And that's been a big shift for me. Over last year and coming into this year is just focusing on the process of doing the work, not understanding what the result is, but not just being result focused, being process driven. For me, putting the reps in. I try to get to the gym at 4:15 in the morning. So my alarm goes off at 3:40. So I can get up and then get to the gym by 4:15. To me, that's the process.
Mhm.
I know what the result is. I know what I'm trying to accomplish. But what I have figured out for me is I become so fucking impatient with the result that I sabotage the process. And that's been a mindset shift for me lately. It's like, just put the reps in. Like,
Mhm.
just did you get up? Yes. Okay, that's a win. Did you go to the gym? Yes. Okay, that's a win. Did you do the workout? Yes. Okay, that's a win. Came home, you ate breakfast. Yep, that's a win. Did you drink alcohol the night before? No, that's a win. It's like, man, you can stack so many wins before 8 a.m.
Mhm.
And it's like,
Yeah, but I mean, but a lot of high performers will walk right by it, right? They're like,
right.
well, that's just what I was supposed to do. It's like it's still a win, motherfucker. You still did what you were supposed to do,
Mhm.
and that's one of those things I was grateful about with the when we did 75 hard a couple years ago, was that now I had like it gives you a real gauge of what just showing up and
Mhm.
putting the fucking reps in every day. At the end of 75 days, you turn around and you look at it and you're like, dude, I'm capable of some fucking pretty crazy
Yeah.
shit, dude. And it was small increment. You had fucking 6 or 7 things you had to check off every day. Just
Mhm.
do those and you see how much your life improves with just those fucking 7 things every day. Just stay consistent,
Mhm.
you know?
And being able to make the micro adjustments. Like, I was in the gym today, this recording. Yeah, it's Friday. I think, yeah, I was in there Tuesday, and Tuesday's push day. And my right shoulder was so angry with me, by the time I left. And I'm like, okay, that workout sucked, but I still did it. So I just need to course correct for the next few days. So I don't go from being hurt to being injured.
Mhm.
Right. Just okay. So I need to heal. How am I going to allow that to slow my process?
Mhm.
It's like, okay, so we just need to evaluate, even to the point where understanding for me that recovery is part of the process.
That's the hard part as a high performer, right?
Oh my God, it's so difficult. And Katie's like, why do you go to the gym 7 days a week? I'm like, because I like to fitness 7 days a week. I'm not training for anything. I just
Mhm.
like to fitness. Like Sundays are mobility.
Mhm.
I have 2 leg days in the week. I'm like, I just like to be there.
Thank God, Jesus. You definitely need 2 leg days a week. You might want to do just a glute day, you know?
I do have a posterior chain day, but
Yeah.
yes, it's you are correct. I am trying to focus so I don't look like a wind sail that's getting ready to be tipped over. So, but it's like just accepting the fact that it's not perfect, and it's like, okay, whatever. The same thing with dialing in the nutrition. Like some days I feel like a fat piece of shit, and then some days I'm like, oh shit, like I'm trimmed up, I'm leaned
Mhm.
out, like I feel good today. What did I do different?
Yeah.
It's again, just accepting it and focusing on the process and not being like, I haven't hit, because I wanted to hit 220 by Christmas and I didn't hit it. I hit
Mhm.
217. But I'm like, okay, I hit two. By the way, I came from like 202
Mhm.
in
Which, I
six
mean,
in
fuck, when
6
you were
months.
here, you were walking around at what,
Like,
185?
no, it was right at like 195, 200, like
195.
pretty
Okay.
consistently.
Yeah.
But it wasn't it wasn't a gym 200. Right?
Yeah, right,
It was an alcoholic 200. So,
right. You
uh,
turn and it takes your belly a second to catch up with you, you know?
so that was my goal. But I stepped on the scale Christmas morning and it was 217. And immediately I could go, fuck, I missed my goal. You piece of shit, like you didn't do what
Mhm.
you needed to do. Instead, I'm like, this is the physically the most I've ever weighed. Like 217 is a new personal best for me. I'm like, this is fucking awesome. This is what I did in 4 months.
Dude, I'm like 3 inches shorter than you, and if I was 217, I would be on my deathbed. Like,
You'd have a leg removed.
yeah, right. Yeah, some part of my body is gone.
Well, I have kind of a lanky skeletal
That
system,
that
so
you do. Oh shit.
but just having those again, just why are you doing what you're doing every day? And the thinking back and just kind of again recap and reflecting and some of the big moves that we got to make, last year. Chris Hogan said it best. He said, "A setback can be a setup for a comeback."
That's exactly how I'm feeling right now.
Me too. And everything they were doing with the coaching, the new business that Greg and I are starting, like, just I don't know. I kind of look at it and I go, thank God I'm not that person anymore. Like it gives me so much gratitude and joy and pride to be like, man, like I'm pretty fucking resilient.
Yeah. Well, and once you like straighten yourself out, you'll realize how many opportunities are floating around you all the time. But if you're just fucking hungover every day,
Yeah,
you miss them. You're not paying attention to them.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'll tell you this funny short story. I'll tell you, it actually is going to come out in the podcast that launches before this, my sit down with Charlie. But this guy reaches out. He's an affiliate with Field Pulse. He was like, "Hey man, I run this AI business program, answering calls, scheduling, that kind of thing." He's like, "Hey, I'd like to set a schedule with you and chat." I'm like, "Yep." So we schedule a Zoom call. We meet. Come to find out, he's in St. Louis. I was like, "Holy shit!" So we talk, and I'm like, "Hey, I said, what do you think about coming on the podcast? I think this would be good information to share, a good conversation." He's like, "Yeah, man." He's like, "Hey, what do you think about?" He's like, "What do you think about doing a workout first?" And I'm like, "Okay." I mean, I don't work out with many people, hardly.
I hate working out with people.
Right. I mean, Katie and I are at the gym at the same time, but we don't work out together.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, sure." So my ignorance, I mean, I'm like a fucking AI computer programmer in St. Louis. Like, I don't want to fucking cripple this guy. Right. Like, I mean, that's my ignorant bias thinking.
Right.
So we schedule a time to go to the gym. He walks in, fucking 6'4" ex-Army Ranger, went to West Point, played football for Army. And I'm like,
jacked.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay. So I very humbly got out fitnessed that day. My fucking legs hurt for 4 days. Oh man. And just the nicest fucking guy. Right. Yeah, I was like, yeah, okay. I think I learned my lesson there. That was a good learning experience. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, my ignorance and bias just got my ass kicked in the gym.
Right.
Yeah, it was again, that conversation's already come out for those that are listening now, but Charlie's an awesome guy. But, just ultimately it's like, for me, it's like, okay, last year's over. Right. It's like, and I don't believe in the new me, new year, new you resolution shit. I don't have any resolutions. But there's no denying the fact that the fucking world resets in January, and business resets, and so does the calendar and the counting and the money. And it's like, all right, this is going to be a huge fucking year. Like, it's going to be a big, big year.
I agree. Dude, you give me 18 months. There's going to be some wild shit going on around here.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, dude. Like, these type of situations, they fucking take time. It's not an overnight thing. It doesn't matter. You corrected your behavior and then you don't see instant results. And it's like, no, you got to walk yourself back from all that stupid shit you were doing for a while.
Yeah. Alex Hormozi, I was watching one of his interviews and he said something that really made me think. He said, successful people don't measure in days, they measure in decades.
Yeah, there you go.
So I think it's easy to get caught up in measuring the days, and not that there's not some level of importance there, but it's like, okay. And look at Battleborn Welding. Like, you guys are still under a decade. Tradesman Experience is still under a decade. What's the first decade look like? What's the first 10 years look like?
A whole lot of dumb, expensive decisions. That's what it is.
So, it's just a little bit different perspective, as opposed to days, weeks, months. It's like, all right, what's the first decade like? And then what's the second decade like? And I don't know, just when I heard him say that, it kind of made me stop and think, like, it's so easy to get wrapped up in the minutia of the micro, right? The micro instead of the macro. But I think, I don't know, I'm excited. I know the conversations that we've had over the last 6 months, it's really good to see you in this headspace. You look healthier. Your eyes look healthier.
Not all jaundiced anymore. Or what?
Yeah, you're dark. You don't look like me. Like I always have fucking dark circles. But yeah, so it's good to see you. I'm excited for you, and I'll tell everybody what I told you. I think this is a great opportunity for you to be the leader that you know you can be.
Yeah, and I'm ready for the challenge, and you know, we're starting off on the right foot. Things are heading in the right direction, and I'm excited to fucking dial it in. I think that's everything has been done on a macro thus far, but I'm excited to get into the micro, like to see the impact of small adjustments on an entire operation and find out what really, I mean, if more than anything, this is fucking research for me, you know? So, but yeah, I feel a lot better. Much more, you know, I feel good. I feel like I have fucking hope for the first time in a couple of years. So
yeah, well, I can tell. Good seeing you. I've got another meeting I've got to jump on here in about 10 minutes. So, well, sorry, we hit our hour anyway, but yeah, good recap. A lot of lessons learned. If you want to see Nate, you can find Nate at Nate Newton 87. I'm on Instagram at The Tradesman Experience. Emails The Tradesman Experience at gmail.com. Websites TheTradesmanExperience.com, and the YouTube channels The Tradesman Experience. Thank you so much for spending this time with us. Get out there, get shit done. Happy New Year. Be proud to be a tradesman. See ya.